An eyewitness account of Amitabha recitation by Master Jingyuan. Amitabha Buddha cured my acute disease and saved my life. I was born into a Buddhist family in November 1998 and became a monk on Buddha's birthday in 2014. I have been learning Buddhist Dharma from my grandmother since I was a child. Every day I join in the 5 lessons, and the rest of the time I study on my own. However, I didn't know about the Pure Land path and the salvation in the Land of Ultimate Bliss. I never gave it any serious thought. It was not until the end of 2014 when I was fortunate enough to come across Master Shandao's teaching, propagated by Master Huijing. I learned about the Land of Bliss and the deliverance of Amitabha's Fundamental Vow. That was also the year when Amitabha Buddha plucked me from the hands of King Yama. In August 2014, after having been a novice monk for nearly 3 months, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. That is a type of inflammatory bowel disease. It is intractable and chronic, affects the digestive system, and may lead to cancer. There's no cure for this condition, no matter how much you can afford. It can relapse anytime, and once that happens, the intestines will rot away bit by bit. Many patients are tortured to death as a result. It was very painful at the beginning. As a result of acute gastrointestinal bleeding coupled with hospital misdiagnosis, I was on the verge of dying. Even the hospital director told my parents to bring me home to prepare for my imminent death. But my parents refused to give up and begged the hospital director to treat me no matter what. After repeated pleading, I was transferred to the intensive care unit. In addition to paying tens of thousands of dollars on medical bills every day, there were tubes inserted into my stomach and small intestine because they were all so rotten that I could no longer eat or drink. My life was dependent on injections. At that time, I was thinking, isn't this the horror of hell? The Saha world is full of sufferings. In this life, we must escape the cycle of birth and death. That was the moment of my real renunciation, and I realized that suffering is one of the favorable causes for seeking emancipation. On the 15th day of my hospitalization, a Pure Land Buddhism practitioner was transferred into the intensive care unit. Seeing that I was young and a monk, he urged me to recite Namo Amitabha Buddha. He told me that most of the medically incurable diseases were karmic diseases that could only be cured by Amitabha Buddha. That is because Amitabha Buddha is the great Lord of healing. Listening to his explanation, I began to practice Amitabha recitation single-mindedly. The householder was moved to the general ward the next day. There was a miracle on the morning of the 3rd day of recitation. There was no blood in my stool, and the stool was well formed, which the doctors thought was unbelievable. 3 days later, enteroscopy and gastroscopy showed that there were no signs of further rotting, and the ulcer was healed. The doctors were surprised because it was the first medical case in which a Crohn's disease patient recovered without treatment in such a short time. They were very curious and asked me how I did it. I told them I met the great Lord of Healing. I recited the name of Amitabha Buddha, and he saved me. To be prudent, I stayed in the hospital for observation for half a month before being discharged. When I was sick, I lost a lot of weight, from 150 to 90 pounds, because I could not eat. However, under the compassionate care of Amitabha Buddha, I returned to my original weight in just over 40 days. Since I recovered from the illness, reciting the Buddha's name and relying on Amitabha Buddha have become the only practice and belief that are integrated into my life. I also began to enrich my knowledge about the Pure Land path online. I saw on YouTube that Master Huijing was promoting Shandao's Pure Land's teaching. In the Pure Land's Dharma teaching videos, Master Huijing speaks unhurriedly and gently, and comes across as a patient and amiable elder. He's very engaging to his audience. I've been listening to his talks on YouTube for 2 years. I felt at ease every day and finally realized the meanings of "to all fear-ridden beings shall I give great peace" in the Infinite Life Sutra. After learning the Pure Land path, I totally entrusted myself to Amitabha Buddha. I felt relaxed and relieved. I have had the opportunity to come to Thailand. I'm teaching the Dharma of the Pure Land path to the Buddhist aspirants around me every day in Thailand. They are very happy and, like me, believe that Amitabha has unconditionally saved them. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this touching and impactful story of Master Jingyuan with you. I hope this story strengthens your faith in the saving power of Amitabha Buddha. Thus continue to recite the Buddha's name with single-minded devotion. Namo Ami Tuo Fo.